Good morning, this is Jacob with another episode of the Let's Get to Business podcast. And so today I'm going to talk about something that I learned at the Faith Over Fear conference in Orlando a couple weeks ago. And I think that there's so many times in life when there's things that are so powerful. And it is easy to miss the point. It's easy to miss the profoundness of a statement. And I was thinking about how, we are, as Christians, this is so applicable to us. And the statement that really kind of got me thinking, and got me to start thinking about this was, the person said that nobody can tell how many apples are in one apple seed. No one can tell how many apple seeds or how many of anything, for that matter. It'd be like saying nobody can tell how many ears of corn are in one seed. If you allow that seed to be planted and you grow it up and it develops into a full ear, and then you take that full ear and you take those seeds and you plant all of those, and each one of those green ears, it's an exponential multiplier. And see, in our own life, is we don't know the seeds that we plant, the thoughts that we think about. Like I was thinking about this. First off, what does a seed do? And I think that let's go all the way back to creation. Like when the first seed was created, in Genesis 1:11 it says, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Now, what does that mean? Whose seed is in itself. See, the beauty of a seed is the fruit is in itself, the seed is in itself. So when we plant a seed, that seed will grow a tree, and that tree will bear fruit, and those fruit, all that fruit, the seeds will bear more fruit, and they will bear more fruit. It's an exponential multiplier. So I think that when we start in our life, when we start making a mindset shift, when we start thinking about things like leadership, when we start thinking things about how to become more effective communicator, when we start thinking about values like that, we don't know the seeds that we're planting in our mind, what kind of exponential harvest that we're going to reap from that for the rest of our life. And I can tell you, it will be big. It will be major. I just know that in my own life, there's my mindset shift. I used to be constantly procrastinating. Now, I still do occasionally. I got to be real. I got to be honest with you guys here. I still occasionally procrastinate, but that's something that I'm trying to eliminate. Instead of those seeds of procrastination, I instead try to be proactive. And whenever I have that moment when I feel like procrastinating, I'm trying to instead be proactive. But I think it's important that we realize that when we do things, that there's an exponential multiplier behind it. And especially with the business that we're in, you never know when one kindness will go around in a circle. We never know what's going to happen. And we can also look at it from the other point of view. We never know when one bad action or one bad habit that we develop will exponentially multiply to ruin our life. And it can work the other way. One habit that we change can completely transform our life. And I think it's very important that we realize that there's every thought that we think is a seed. Every action that we do and every thought that we see is a small seed that will spring up, and we don't know what kind of fruit that will bear. But in business especially, this is applicable. We never know when that next customer that we serve, that will exponential multiply our business. That we never know when that customer's got 1,000 roofs. We never know when that customer is looking for somebody just like you, but because you were ungrateful or not very gracious or didn't do your best on that project, you didn't get any repeat business. You just don't know. And it happens all the time. People go in, they do business with these companies, and or influential individuals, for example. People, maybe they're connectors. They know a lot of people. And I think it's very important that we realize that every thought that we think and every action that we do and every transaction that we have, there's an exponential multiplier that's possible. But we have to plant it. We have to do the best at every time. Because when we do that, when we implant those seeds into our mind, we don't know how much fruit that seed is going to bear. I know that the first time I read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie that has certainly influenced the trajectory of my life. That one time that I read that book, it is still influencing my life. It is still influencing me. The same when I read The Compound Effect or Atomic Habits. It is now influencing the rest of the trajectory of my life. One seed, one book, just one or two ideas from those books has made a big difference in my life. And I think that is important that we realize that in our business and in our life, those habits, those little things that we do on a daily basis, they will make all the difference. Those little being intentional about mindset, being intentional about personal development is going to make a huge difference on how our life works out in 5 years and 10 years. And for sure in 40 years. It's kind of like a plane. Life throws us negative things. Life throws us negative curveballs. And, those little thoughts, those little corrections, those mindset things that help us stay on the right path is what's going to make a difference in where we end up in 5 years or 20 years. It's like a plane when it takes off. See, a plane when it takes off, let's say it's going from Los Angeles to New York City. If it points directly at New York City and it starts going, even if it's off by 1 degree, it'll end up like 200 miles off. Like, don't quote me. I don't have the numbers specifically wrong, but it's many miles off at any rate. Just 1 degree can make a massive difference in where that plane lands up. See, as it keeps going, it keeps correcting the path. It keeps redirecting and making sure that as it continues to go, it constantly realigns. And see, that is how a mindset is. When we go along in our life, and things are going off a little bit, our mindset, the things that we think about, those little seeds that we have in our mind, those little things help us get back on the right path. Those little seeds that we have planted in our mind will make all the difference. And it works the same in our business. When we act correctly, when we plant those little seeds in our customers' minds and little things go wrong, or we do some little things wrong on a customer's roof, or the roof leaks, or I'm just speaking from experience, because I'm a roofer. Like I've had roofs leak on my customers, and bad. But see, some of our best customers were not necessarily the ones that never leaked. They were the ones where we came back and fixed it. See, it's all about that mindset shift. It's about implanting in your customer's mind that you care about them, because you have to. But it has to come from the heart. It has to be something from the heart. But when you plant those seeds, you don't know what kind of fruit that's going to bear. We had this one customer. They had this one roof, and you got to understand, we were not making any money off of this customer. They had this roof leak, and it was just a tiny little roof, and it just kept leaking. Couldn't figure out what's going on. It took us 8 times to figure it out. And we felt like giving up on the customer, tell him, look, dude, you're going to have to get some other contractor in here. Now, we weren't going to do that, and we wouldn't have done that, but it doesn't mean that we didn't feel like it. But, we struggled, we got through and we figured out what was going on, and guess what? Now we built ourselves a tremendous amount of credibility because we stuck to it. We were just being honest. If you really think about it, we were just being honest. We were doing what we said we will do. And that same customer gave us millions of dollars of work since then. And they continue to give us work. So I think it's very important that we realize that when we plant those seeds, those little actions that we do on a daily basis, the personal development that we read, the books that we read, we never know the exponential multiplier of the fruit from those things. So I think it's important that we think about those things and consider those things, because it will make a massive difference in how our life works out. So with that, hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing day. We'll talk with you guys next time.